Welcome back to Developer Roadmaps. Today, we're going to move beyond just the basic syntax of HTML and really dive into a core concept, semantic markup. We're shifting our focus from what our code looks like to what it actually means. So let me ask you a question. Your web page might look perfect in the browser, everything is where it should be, but can a search engine or maybe an assistive device like a screen reader actually understand its structure? That's the real question we're tackling today.
You see, semantics is all about the meaning of your code. Think about an H1 tag. Its semantic meaning isn't just, hey, make this text big and bold. It's, this is the single most important heading on this page. Notice that? It describes its purpose, its role, not just how it looks.
Last time, we talked about how HTML forms are fantastic at collecting user data. But now what? Once you have all that content, how do you actually structure it? How do you organize it in a way that's crystal clear for browsers, for search engines, and for people using assistive tech?
So let's start with the big picture. I want you to stop thinking about your web page as lines of code and start thinking of it like a blueprint for a building.
Every well-designed building has a really clear structure, right? You've got the lobby, you've got the main floors, you've got the foundation. Well, semantic HTML gives us that exact same kind of blueprint for our web pages, telling the browser what each part is actually for. And just like that building, our web page has three main landmark regions. You've got the header up top, the main content area right in the middle, and the footer at the very bottom. These are basically the foundational pillars of any well-structured page. And here you can see what that looks like in practice, both in the code and in the simple wireframe next to it. These elements create a super clear top-level structure. The header, main, and footer all live inside the body tag, and together they form this perfect, logical outline for the entire page. So the header, that's your lobby. It's the very first thing people see, and it totally sets the stage. This is where you put your site's logo, the big page title, and of course the main navigation. It's all about introduction and helping people get their bearings. Now, the main element is absolutely crucial. This is for the core, unique content of that specific page. This is not the place for stuff that repeats on every page, like your main navigation or sidebars. Those belong somewhere else. The main content is the star of the show. It's the reason the page exists. And finally, we get to the footer, which really acts as the foundation of our page. It's where you put all the concluding stuff, like copyright notices or links to your terms of service. And, pro tip, if you're putting in contact info, you can wrap it in an address tag inside the footer to be even more specific about what that information is.
Okay, so we've got our blueprint. The main structure is there. Now it's time to actually build out the rooms inside. How do we start organizing all the content that's going to live within that main structure?
To do that, we've got three really important tools in our toolbox. Section for grouping related chunks of content, Nav specifically for our main navigation menus, and Aside for extra stuff that's related but not part of the main flow.
Think of a section tag like it's a chapter in a book. It's just a way to group content that all belongs to the same theme. And here's the key. Just like a chapter, it should pretty much always have a heading. This is so important because assistive tech uses these sections and headings to create a document outline, which lets users jump straight to the part they care about. The nav element has one very specific job. It's for major blocks of navigation links. Now, this isn't for every single link on your page, but for the primary stuff, like your main site menu. It's basically the directory for your entire building. An aside is for content that's, well, on the side. It's related to the main content, but it's not essential. Think of a sidebar with links to related articles or maybe an author's short bio. It's connected for sure, but you could take it away and the main article would still make perfect sense.
All right, our structure is solid. We've gone from the big blueprint down to the individual rooms. Now let's zoom in even further. How do we give meaning to the text itself, the fine print, if you will?
So let's say you're quoting someone. HTML gives you two great options. If it's a long, multi-line quote that should stand on its own, you're going to want to use block quote. But if it's just a short little quote that fits right inside a sentence, use the Q tag. And the browser will even add the quotation marks for you. Okay, this next one shows a really subtle but important difference in meaning. You've got three tags that often look similar, but they mean very different things. Use del to show the text has been deleted from a document, and you compare it with inserted for inserted text. but you'd use S to mark something as no longer accurate or relevant, like an old sale price that's been struck through. You know when you're reading an article and they introduce a new term or an acronym for the first time? Well, the DFN element is your best friend for that. You just wrap the term in this tag, and you're semantically marking it as this is the official definition. It's incredibly clear for both people and machines.
So we've gone through all this trouble to lay out a really detailed blueprint for our content. But why? Why does any of this matter? What's the real payoff here?
Well, there are three massive benefits. First, it dramatically improves accessibility, period. Second, it gives search engines way better clues about what your content is about, which is a huge boost for SEO. And finally, it just makes your code so much easier for other developers and future you to read and maintain.
I love this quote. It just illustrates the point perfectly. For someone using a screen reader, a non-semantic website is like walking into a huge office building where none of the doors have numbers or signs. You have no idea what's a hallway, what's a main office, or what's a closet without opening every single door. It makes getting around incredibly frustrating. And that's really the bottom line. This is the crucial point. Semantic HTML is the language we use to help machines, from Google's search bots to screen readers, to truly understand the structure, the context, and the meaning of our human-readable content. So what's next for us on this journey? We've built a meaningful, solid, well-structured document. Now, it's time to bring it to life. Next on the roadmap, we're going to take this semantic blueprint we've built and see how to apply CSS to make it look great, and then add a layer of JavaScript to make it interactive. We've poured the foundation, now it's time to paint the walls and install the lights.
This is Developer Roadmaps. Map your path, build your career.